AI at Work, the podcast where we explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping jobs, skills, leadership in the real world. AI is no longer just upon automation or efficiency. Today, it's influencing how we think, design, decide, and lead. In this episode, we move forward and beyond hype and focus on practical realities. What's changing at work, what skill matter now, and how leaders can prepare teams for next decade. So I would like to invite our speakers for today. We have amazing speakers who have joined over here, and we would be bringing diverse perspectives from strategy and technology to design and leadership. So my first speaker is our AI digital transformation leader, that is Mr. Kamal. Second speaker is future and work and leadership strategist, that is Vinay Darshi. Our third speaker is Mr. Vikrant Bakshi, who's a design thinking innovation expert. And we have an entrepreneur onboarded also, who's a fractional CEO, a CTO to different organization, Mr. Manish Jain. He's an enterprise practitioner driving AI adoption at scale. So we have four segments which we would be covering in our podcast today. So the first segment would be how AI and changing nature at work. So I'm your host. My name is Paramjit Jaggi, and I'm also an AI and technology strategist, an author, and a mentor. So moving to our first segment, I would like to introduce Kamal. Hi, Kamal. Welcome on board.
Hi, Param. Excited to be here in this podcast. Hello to all our viewers as well. A quick intro about myself. I'm Kamalakannan. I work for Ericsson as a senior architect. So I've got 21 years of experience in total, all of it in telecom software development. And right now, I'm also the Gen AI ambassador for the Asia Pacific region in Ericsson. So that's about me, Param.
First question for this segment would be I'm setting the stage out. How the AI fundamentally changing day to day work today? Not in theory, but in reality.
Yes. Uh, as I told you already, I've got a lot of software development experience, and as a senior architect, my day job is also about dealing with software developers and software engineers. So I bring in that kind of an expertise and perspective here. And being the Gen AI ambassador for the last 2.5 years, I've seen a lot of transition that is happening at workplace, especially in the way things are getting delivered, what the strategy will be, and how the process will evolve. So all that I'm privy to in the corporate world, especially, and I can see what moves the needle here. And from that perspective, how we used to do work as software engineers over the last 30-35 years is undergoing a paradigm shift. So the earlier era was human centric, that is, what was needed for humans to deliver the work, that was the center focus. What are the tools that are needed to make them more productive, to make them more collaborative? Because when you talk about enterprise grade software, it is a lot of human beings coming together, a lot of software engineers coming together and trying to produce a deliverable artifact, which is the software. So everything around that, how you automate things, how you collaborate, that was the focus in the previous era. But when ChatGPT was first released in 2022, things started going through a lot of change, right? Now the shift is more from what can be done to make these humans or software engineers 3x, 4x more productive. What can I give them so that they no longer have to think about what they need to do, but focus on how to get things done? That fundamental shift is now happening. It's not about doing things, but about getting things done. And that intermediate era between 2022 to 2025 was called as the AI bolt on era, where you just feed AI tools to the engineers, like AI being the co pilot to your work and getting things done. But in doing that, there was a realization that you can do things even more better. Like you can bring in at the process level, at your day to day job level, AI as a native thing. So that's where we are headed to right now. We are headed to the AI native era, where AI takes the center stage and human beings are more of a decision maker here. We no longer bother about doing tasks, but making AI do the tasks. So that is where the shift is happening right now. If I have to give an example, a much more concrete example, earlier the flow of information was from the product management to the technical architects who were converting the product requirements into technical requirements so that the development teams can understand. And the flow happened from the architect to the development team through technical requirements document, and from the development team towards the testers and the documentation team, they delivered the code. So if you see here, there's a transference of knowledge from one set of experts to another set of experts through documentation. So product team gives the product requirements document. The architect team produces the study or business analysis document that fed into the development team as user stories or task engineering tasks to be done, and they produce the code. And so this kind of transference of knowledge through documents had a lot of drawbacks, and that's where the AI native thinking comes into picture. So you no longer are restricted to one set of expertise doing one thing, but rather a one single flow that happens across all these phases by a single team. So you're no longer bottlenecked by these lack of expertise or transference of knowledge through documentation. There's no loss of information in AI native thinking. It's one set of agents that work together, that collaborate. They understand each other much better than humans collaborate. So there is no transfer of documentation anymore. It's just that you feed in the product requirement documents on one side, and eventually you're going to expect that there's a seamless output of software coming on the other side, right? So this is at the engineering level, uh, where your day-to-day activity happens. But at a higher level, there's also a transition happening at the executive leadership team level. So one of the things that they do is strategic thinking, and data drives the strategic thinking. Your data analytics drives that. But now we have artificial intelligence, AI, coming in, and data analytics and AI together form a lethal combination, I would say. Because in traditional data analytical thinking, you would crunch in the data using statistical models, and then you output some graphs and some visualization medium through which decisions were being made. But that is changing a lot now. Let's say, for example, you want to improve and find out where the fault slip through is happening, right? Why is my engineering organization not productive as it used to be? What has changed suddenly? So you then feed in what's happening on a day-to-day basis and try to understand how to remove the bottlenecks from the development organization, right? All that, now the AI LLMs are much more equipped to understand the data flow here, to understand the patterns here, trends here, much better than humans can do. And they do not only produce the graphs for you to take a decision, but they in fact tell you the insights straightforward. They give you in a natural language, what, this is what has happened in the last few months, and these are the possible reasons why you have all these things coming in, right? If you want to make it better, these are the set of decision points that you can take. So that is the level of transformation that's happening, Param, at the corporate level, where you have at the bottom layer AI native bringing in the requirements to software artifact at one seamless flow, and at the management, corporate layer, where you have the strategic thinking that's happening in a transitioned way. Yeah, Param.
I think that actually, how the layering has been done and how the things are happening at a management level also. I think that's the great insight which the audience are getting from you. Okay, I think there's one more question for you for to this session. So we work every day, and there is a lot of activity which are happening during your work in your organization. So, which everyday work activity do you believe which will almost entirely AI assisted and within the next 2 3 years will change, and why it is getting changed?
That's a good one, Param, because I see. There's a lot of change happening, as I told already. But one area where we are seeing a lot of gains already is in the incident report handling. As IT ops, every organization has IT operations, and managing the incidents is a big task in maintaining what software you deliver. And there's a lot of routine things you do to do that. You manage the incoming tickets, TR handling, as they call it, trouble report handling. So you manage all those tickets, you try to prioritize, you try to triage, and then you try to figure out which component or which domain this particular trouble impacts, and then which team has to be invoked for that. You need to do some basic correlation of the logs that you get, some information that you get from the user, right? All this is quite routine in nature. So that being the case, this particular workflow is ripe for AI automation. Like AI is kind of tailor made for doing all this. So they are well equipped. The AI agents are well equipped to triage the incidents, to understand what's happening by correlating with the logs and the information that the user has provided, and then also identifying the possible domain subcomponent area that is getting impacted here. In fact, what we have seen is, in the pilot run that we have done, 75% of the incidents are handled by the AI agents themselves, right? This means that only 25% of the top unique issues bubble out, and then they get transferred into the actual tickets to the respective engineering teams. So this is good news for engineers, actually, because they now get a lot of time to focus on, the backlog that is there. More R&D, more innovation, you get more time for that, instead of doing the design follow up kind of stuff, right? Which is basically maintenance, which everybody basically tries to avoid. So I think that's good news for the engineering teams, and that's where a lot of AI assistance is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years.
Definitely, Kamal. I think these are the areas in which day in and day out work is lot, and there are use cases which are available with the organizations, which they can automate with the auto agents over there, and then the new perspective which is coming into picture probably down the line. Once the innovation they can do focus on other works also on this. I think that's a great insight for the audience over here. Thank you, Kamal. Now we had moved to we had completed segment one. We would be moving to the segment two, and I would like to introduce our new leader, that is Vinay Darshi, who is going to take us through the segment two, which is majorly on the skills, jobs, leadership in the next decade. And I would like to welcome Vinay for that. Welcome, Vinay. Hi, Vinay. You are on mute. Can you speak or unmute yourself?
Hey Param, hope I'm audible now.
Yeah. Yeah, you're audible, Vinay.
All right. Thank you Param. Thank you so much for the brief introduction and thank you for bringing this topic. And good morning to everyone, all the speakers who are there in this meeting, and also the audience who are watching on the live. Good morning, all. Well, this is one of the interesting topic, Param. I would like to share my screen and present something to cover in next 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure, Vinay.
Yeah.
But before we proceed, I have one question to you, so that which probably I would like to ask you before we proceed with the presentation you are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So usually, as per the skills from leadership in the next decade, when we look 5 to 10 years ahead, what happens to the job skills and the leadership expectation over there?
Yeah, that's good question. So more or less, that's what I'm going to cover in this slide also, along with a few other topics. So you'll be having like a very interesting answers in this. So I would like to cover over there. Okay. All right. So once again, thank you, Param, for bringing this topic. This. So we are going to discuss the future of jobs, skills, and the leadership, and how it is going to look like in the next one decade. That is starting from 5 to 10 years ahead. All right. So this is Vinay Kumar Darshi who is presenting this one, and I'm having like close to 2 decades of experience into IT, and I work with various industries. And currently, I'm working in the pharmaceutical industry since 10 years, and also I'm a certified director. Currently working as a head IT for the quality systems. in the current organization, that is Centrion Pharmaceuticals. Okay, so let's get into the topic. So before jumping into this, why this topic is matters now and why it is important, because this change is accelerating the across all industries, which is not specific to one industry like pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, or consulting, or any product based company. It's not specific to any industry. This topic is related to all the industries, irrespective of like no matter from you're from which industry. And also these days you can see this a lot of uncertainty on this roles and structures lack. So that's a reality which we are going to discuss. And the risk is outdated ways of working. So earlier, like people used to claim like I used to work like 14 hours, 16 hours per day, but nowadays it's not going to be the reason, that is not going to be the working model. And we are going to discuss on this digital AI and people convergence. So how this human plus AI work centric is going to be there. So that's the reason I can proudly say like this topic is important, and thanks for bringing into this current trend of this topic. So these are the key topics which we are going to discuss in this session. One is like how these jobs will evolve faster than the job descriptions, and this is what Param was also claiming to answer this. And along with this, skills over titles, and what is the leadership shift, and also at the end we are going to discuss how we are going to managing the hybrid human and AI teams. The first one, the jobs will evolve faster than job descriptions. So before getting into this job descriptions, one thing which you all must be going through this process, people who are searching for the jobs, this is quite common. So that is the reason we all are into this different positions now, right? So at least in your lifetime, at least once you must have gone through this entire recruitment process. Few people like maybe more than 3 to 4 times, 5 times also. So earlier, like how this recruitment process was, the typical like you used to apply for any job postings manually and used to share this profile to the recruiter, and again from the recruiter side, and they used to manually visit each and every profile, and if the profile likes for them, and they used to respond back with the emails by asking the additional information or directly connecting over the phone by conducting the initial screening and to get more details. That was a process. Do you think now it is happening? No, it's not happening as a first step. So before reaching into this, we need to understand what is happening the other side of the table. Let's say like recruiters, once you submit the profile, so before recruiter visit your profile, there is one more agent which is happening with the AI agent. Many of the companies are using this. These profiles are automatically are being shortlisted based on the JD, job description, and everything. Then only the specific profiles are reaching to the recruiter, concerned recruiter. So earlier the recruiters were manually reviewing each and every profile and they used to come back. So now that step is not as an initial step because one more step has been added. So even we need to adapt the same skill set, same whatever is happening in the other side. So as a job seeker, even we should able to build this AI agents. You need not to apply these jobs like manually. You should able to create some agent that can be free version, paid version, whatever it is. That's a different topic. So that agent should able to check the relevant job descriptions for your profile, and that should able to apply without your intervention. And once it applies, as a overview, you should able to see and take the further follow up on the most relevant profiles which is going to be suitable for you. So we need to adapt this kind of skill set. And when it comes to the job descriptions, roles are no longer static. Like earlier, like it was having like fixed roles, but now it is like it is where you need to club like at least 2 to 3 different roles and responsibilities to get into this, and it is keeps on changing. And work is also project and outcome based. So earlier like the no we are not going to work with this theoretical experience and all. So it all depends like how many projects you have done and what is the outcome. These are the things which are coming into the job descriptions. And also during this recruitment process, people are hired based on the learning ability also. So these are the key factors where which we need to consider. And a few generic examples for the how this job evaluations. As I mentioned, like earlier we were having like a fixed responsibilities and functional silos. And in the future, it's going to be the cross functional work where you need to have like a 2 to 3 cross functional works, and this data plus collaboration and a continuous improvement. So these are the things which is are going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years, but which is already started now. We need to start adapting this. There are like a few examples, industry examples, like let's say like pharma quality, digital audits and analytics. So earlier, like people who are having experience in the audits, so now these roles are evaluating as a digital audits who are able to perform the digital audits. And in the manufacturing, earlier like people who are having the experience to involve in the automation, now it is like automation plus data decisions. If you go with the services industries, like client insight plus technology use, both. So these kind of role evolutions which are happening currently, and which is going to be even more in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's
So
great
this is
insight
set.
from you, Vinay.
Yeah,
I think on the
thank
role
you.
evolution,
Yeah.
I think you have covered a great part. Uh, let's move to the skills part.
Yeah, sure. So the second topic under this segment is skills over titles. So titles are organization labels. So here, the next what is going to happen, you need not to worry on the titles part. Slowly that is going to be reduced, and the skills are going to be overtaken on your against to the titles. So we need to focus more on the skills rather than the titles. That is what going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And we need to focus more on the improving our skills and create multiple relevant skills with reference to your job. And the best way is you need to go for this adaptability beats the narrow specialization. So as long as you are going to have more skills, more relevant skills in the combination, you will become like the great niche skill finder. So that is going to be your asset. But apart from all your technical and all these things, few generic skills that matters even in this AI generation, even in this AI world. One is, irrespective of like what profile you're doing, these things are mandatory in the skills. Like one is learning ability. We should not stop learning ability no matter how strong you're in your particular area. You should keep improve your learning ability, then only you will be in the race. That is bitter truth in this current world. And you need to go with this critical thinking. This is mandatory. And just here the simple example which I will give critical thinking is, just try to start keeping your legs into your manager's shoes, and what they are thinking and what is their expectation, start delivering that. It will make your 50% of job easy. That's what I'm saying based on my true experience also. And decision making, so you should not work as like a independently, even though you're working as an independent team member. Like you need to take your decisions for each and everything. You should not depend on your managers or supervisors on the decision making. So that needs to be improved. And digital and data awareness, that is quite important. And you need to improve strong collaboration skills, how best you are going to work with your colleagues or other relevant stakeholders in the organization. So this one example which I wanted to give in the industry, this is manufacturing and operational operations example. So earlier we were looking like the person who is quite focused only on the process execution. But now, or from now, like how in the future it is going to be the data driven improvement. Not only the person who is good in the process execution, he needs to be clear on the data driven improvement, which means after understanding this process execution, by having some data driven statistics, the person should able to suggest to the management on the improvement part as well. And also automation understanding, we should not depend only on the manual process. We need to understand like automation understanding. And also the person should able to take the end to end ownership. So these kind of skills, those are going to evaluate. So this is a brief about skills over titles, Param. So, so we are getting into this leadership is changing, how leadership is changing. Before this, do you have any queries or any follow-up questions, Param?
Yeah, I think that's a great insight.
All right.
So there is one more question for you.
Mhm.
There is always on the leadership behavior.
Yeah.
There is something called better than something does it. So can you let us know which are the past behavior which are very good and which look like leaders, creative and others.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what exactly we're going to discuss here also. So in the old model or the current model, still most of the people or leadership styles which they're controlling, and by going with the micromanagement, and it's a great negative assessment side, and it is not going to work anymore. Even in many companies, this micromanagement leadership style is not working in many companies already. Even it is not going to work in the remaining companies also. So the new expectations is from the leadership. We should able to set the clear objectives to the team members, and also we should able to set the clear direction by breaking these objectives into the high level milestones. Let's say like for this next 1 year, these are the objectives that should be clear. In the next 1 year, how we are going to reach that objectives, like let's break up like quarterly milestones or off yearly milestones, depends on the project and depends on the requirement. This kind of direction and milestones should be very clear. And moreover, as a leader, we should able to build the trust within the team, and we should start understanding, and we should able to give the some free hand to the employees who are working under your team. We should not. That's the reason, again, I'm going back to here. We should stop doing this micromanagement, and also enable decisions. You should able to, as a leader, you should able to give the freedom to your team members to take the decisions by themselves, and they should able to approach you only during the escalations or when they're unable to take the decisions. So at least they should able to take some minimal decisions. We should not keep, as a great leader, we should not keep entire control, and all the decision 100% decisions should not be with you. At least few decisions, the initial decisions, should be able to take by your team members independently. So that's what I wanted to answer, Param, especially on this part. This is one thing which every leader must follow.
Sure,
Sure,
great
great
insights
insights.
from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go through this quickly. And on this context, what leaders needs to improve, and what is this meaning for professionals? So as a leaders, we already just discussed in the previous slide also, we need to invest in people. In case if they're running shortage of any skill set and all, we need to invest time and money on this improving the team members skills, where we need to invest, and we need to encourage experimentation. So few team members which we can see like they're very innovative, they want to do get the work done in the different way. So we always need not to go with the typical old school method. Sometimes we need to encourage this experimentation with the limited scope, and the lead outcomes, not on the task. So we should be, as a leader, we should be focused more on the outcomes, what is happening as expected, not on the critical uh, going through like micro level and task by task. And what is mean for the professionals who are working as a team members or individual contributors? Please focus on this, keep learning and build cross functional skills, and stay adaptable. This building cross functional skills is most important for any professional. So the fourth segment which I wanted to go, and this is the last one under this topic, is managing human and AI teams. So these are the AI strengths which I don't want to repeat, because this is the hot topic everywhere and in every forum. Most of them are already talking. AI strength is like a speed, which you can increase your working speed, and also you can understand the pattern detection. But still, in the human strengths, this cannot be replaceable, and this needs to be still with us. Is like judgment. Once you get the information from the AI tools or the relevant, the dependent tools, at the end, as a human being, we should able to take the final judgment. We cannot depend completely on the AI tools or something. And still here we need to follow this ethics, and at the end we need to take the final accountability. And even if something goes wrong, you cannot blame any AI tool or application. Where you as a team member, leader, whoever it is in the working in the organization, you need to take the accountability for what you're delivering. And you can take the support from AI tools and all, but final accountability lies with you as an employee. I just wanted to take simple example in the pharma use cases. I'm not sure like many of you may be familiar with this terminology, deviations and kappa trends, which is like when you deviate the process, knowingly or unknowingly, these deviations will come, which is quite critical during the audits. We should stop doing this deviations. In case if any deviations happen, we should able to do this corrective action and preventive action, and we need to able to give the justification to the deviations. So with the help of AI, we can able to get all this statistical data, how many deviations happen, how this kappa trends happen and all. But as a human owns, as an employee owns complaint stations, which is very critical, and audit responses. So when when this external audit agencies give the observations, that responses needs to be given by the employee. Here we cannot take any help or something from the AI supporting tools, but you can take the support from here. But here, as a human, you need to own these complaints decisions and audit responses. I just wanted to summarize this entire topic. And from the last 10 minutes, what we have discussed, this is the key takeaways, which I'm expecting everyone to take this. Job changes faster than the structures. And as I mentioned, compared to titles, skills are going to be play major key role. So we need to focus more on the skills rather than the titles. And the leadership must evolve on what we just discussed. And in the working mode, we need to have this both humans plus AI together. The examples which we just shared, how best we need to utilize the AI tools, and where human needs to take the major role and where AI can take the major role. And at the end, human is going to have the final accountability. So these are the key takeaways which I wanted to give from this topic.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you for the insights.
Yeah.
Uh, we would be moving to the next segment, but before moving to the next segment, I would just want to announce that we this podcast is sponsored by Nexus Strategies, which is into the AI strategy and item excellence. So the links for the websites and the services are mentioned in the chat box, so people can refer to it. So moving to the next segment, on segment three, we would be moving towards AI in design thinking at work. So majorly, our host for this session is majorly I'm the host, and the speaker for this session is Vikrant Bakshi. So Vikrant, handing over the mic to you.
Yeah, right. Param, am I audible?
Yeah, you are loudly audible to us. No problem.
Great, thanks. Param, firstly, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Till now it's been a great rocking session. I am Colonel Vikrant Bakshi, have served around 20 years in the army. At present, I'm in Reliance. So I'm a tech guy who has, for whom design thinking is something which is very, very, I'm very passionate about it because I have seen a number of equipment starting from tank to guns to, automobiles, radar simulators from both perspective, both as a user, both as a maintainer. So, I have seen the pain points as well as, what a maintainer needs to do. So yeah, over to you, Param. Param, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we are not able to see you, Vikrant. Your video is not visible. So I just was trying to figure out something is not right. Okay, anyhow, so we can continue with the session just by the time you figure out your video. So my
Yeah.
first question to you would be how the design thinking has always been human centered, right? So how does an AI fit into the philosophy without losing the human part?
Right, thanks. Even I am not able to see anybody in the video, so it's it's very strange, me speaking with myself. But yeah, I'll try. Okay, right. Vijay said a very fantastic thing that try putting yourself in your manager or your boss shoes. Now, let me tell you, that's the most difficult part. Design thinking is all about putting yourself into the shoes of your customer, and that's it's very easy thing to say, but it's the most difficult thing for you to do. So design thinking is all about people, knowing their pain, their aspirations, their motivation, and it is a very human centric approach. The big question here is, how does AI fit into this complete gamut of things? Human is always going to be the center of gravity when it comes to design thinking. But like in our vehicles, in our automobiles, we have these turbochargers, these superchargers, which make our vehicle more efficient. So this is where AI is going to come into play in design thinking. It is going to make this complete process of design thinking more efficient. The human will always be in the loop. The direction for the thinking, the direction for the evolvement of a product is always going to be the call of the leadership. The only thing is that AI is going to enhance this complete process. Once you set the direction, AI is going to make sure that the speed and the velocity is given to that particular process. The process is thrusted upon. At the same time, I want to say that AI is going to scale your empathy. AI is going to make sure that the data complexity You have such humongous amount of data. It's going to make sure that you analyze those data. It will give you different options for you to take that decision. It is going to expand your creativity, which is doing. So this is where I think AI is going to play a major part in design thinking. It will not replace human judgment, but at the same time, it will augment it. So as they say that in a healthy workplace, it is AI which is going to propose, but ultimately it is the human which is going to dispose. Yeah, right, Parag.
I think those are the great insights from you, Vikrant, on the design and design thinking. Okay, do have a follow-up question on this, usually. So when you look into different stages of design thinking, right? So AI might add value to it at every point, but there might be something in which it is not valuing value to it, and we need to see it every step how it goes, right? So can you just elaborate on those?
Yeah, great. So Param, there are 5 steps in design thinking, and let me tell you, AI is adding value in each and every step. There's not a single step where AI is not going to add value. Only thing is that there are going to be certain steps where obviously, AI is going to add more value. The usage of AI is going to be more. And I'll start giving you a lot of example as we go through this, run through this process. So the first step is empathize. You know, in empathy, I'll give you a very rudimentary example. For example, just imagine that there's a worker in employee in Bangalore who spends around three and a half, 4 hours in his car while going to traffic. He's hearing something, he's listening something, he's seeing something. There's somebody who's honking. There are certain feelings. He experienced at each point of time. While going back, he experienced something else. While coming back, he's experiencing something else. So, now this is something which is a very human centric thing, which will always come once you interact with that particular individual, that what kind of pain point you are facing. AI, I feel that it will help in summarizing those interviews. For example, the chat of the chatbots, it can summarize it. The app reviews, it can summarize it. And ultimately it is for human being to validate that particular thing. So this is with respect to empathize, where the AI and human angle will work. Now coming on to the second step, that is define stage. Now this is the most critical part, and I feel that the formulation of problem is the most difficult part. If the formulation of problem is done correctly, your solution is going to be rocking. And if the formulation of problem is wrong, you are going to solve a very you're going to solution to a wrong problem. And I always tell my team that there are two aspects to it. One is qualitative, one is quantitative. Qualitative aspect will come out to empathy. For example, in a bank, there is large lead time. The problem is this bank has got a very large lead time, very large queue. But now coming on to quantitative aspect, how much is the lead time? What is the area? What is the time of month? Is it near to a corporate office? So, you have to, if your problem does not have metrics, does not have quantification, the problem cannot be formulated. Now in this, AI I think is going to play a very important role. Wherever number comes, AI comes. So this is where AI will make sure that the complete data from all the places is formulated, it is conceptualized, it is analyzed, and ultimately your problem is resolved, is formulated. Now coming on to the third part, that is the ideate stage. So this is where I feel that AI is playing the most important role. In fact, it's like, we all have our companion. I feel that nowadays AI is like a creative companion. I have seen people, speaking to Gemini or Chat GPT and tell, okay, fine, I want to go to this movie. Tell me, should I go or not? So, AI has entered into our world like anything. It's like a buddy of ours. It's like a friend of ours. So same way in ideate stage, you have to interact, you have to brainstorm. You have a lot of forums where you brainstorm about the problem. So this is where I feel that AI is playing a very important role. I'll give you fantastic example of Tesla, that how they increased their speed, how they made their ideation more productive by AI. So the latest model, VI13 autonomous Tesla vehicle, they took data from 4 billion miles, and from 3 million users. And then they started ideating this process and made sure that in the latest autonomous vehicle, the accidents dropped to 58%. So, this is the power of AI, what it can do when it is mixed and synchronized well with the human thinking. Coming on to the next point, that is prototyping. Once all these things are done, once you have ideated, you realize, okay, fine, this is the final product. This is a MVP, minimal viable product which we want to make. Let's make a prototype. So here, the old way was used to enact the complete thing. You used to go through the complete process. You used to make wooden models, cardboard models. You this is where I think making of wireframes, making prototyping, 3D models. This is where I think AI is, creating new content so that you can develop, so that your developing team is able to go for the kill right there is where I think AI is speeding up this complete process. Coming on to the last point, that is the testing stage. Here I'll give a very superb example. In fact, Param, you, me, and Manish, we were discussing this the other day. So there's a company called Waymo, which is again into autonomous vehicles. What they did was that they created a concept called flywheel. So what was happening was that if there is one vehicle which was facing a particular issue, whether a good or a bad, that particular knowledge from the sensors, it might be LiDAR, it may be radar, it may be a video analytics, used to go to the central server where it used to get tested. That okay, fine. Now this is a vehicle which is having some problem in the intersection. There was a broken red light, and this is what it did. So it will test under different scenarios, unmoderated test, detect pattern whether it is right, and then once they used to test it, they used to make sure that this particular thing is now followed in other vehicles. So the process became very short, and the best practices were being circulated to the other cars. In fact, something which is going to come up is where the vehicles, instead of giving their best practices or feedback to the central system, will start interacting with each other. So a vehicle is going, there's a pothole, the vehicle which is going behind is going to is going to be informed that, okay, fine, I was here, there's a pothole, go slow. Without both the drivers, they are not aware what's happening. So this is something which is the future. But at the same time, across all these layers runs a continuous layer of governance. What we think about privacy, bias, compliance, that is why the human in the loop will always be there. It is ultimately human who's going to take a call, whether our ship sails, whether we fix it, whether we discard it. So this is about design thinking, and this is where AI stands, and it's a very interesting phase, which is going to come, and I think every day is a learning. Yeah, great.
Definitely. Great insights from you, Vikrant, on this. I think the human AI collaboration will work to a lot longer period, and I think human should be always involved whenever some decision needs to be taken. I think that's what every company is relying on. And I just want to
Absolutely.
add to your whatever the
I
examples you have.
yeah. Param, just want to add on that, a lot of people bring it, AI is not a technology problem or a technology issue. It's a leadership, it's a mindset sort of a thing. It's a new way of working, like when computers came in 70s, people said that, yo, this whole world is going to change, it made us improve our tactics, techniques and procedures. When the internet bubble, it erupted, we modified our way of functioning. The same is going to be AI. It's going to be there. It's a new way of working. The only thing is we have to modify, but no way it's a technology thing. It's a tool, and it has to be very inherent part of our life.
Definitely. It is an inherent part of our life. Definitely. And there is a change in mindset which is required, when we are adopting to it. That's what is required. Great. So I just wanted to add one more thing to this. From my side also, one of the examples is like when you're going for the F1 track, there is a simulator in place. So now every driver knows to go through that simulation to have a view of those tracks. And they actually, during the simulation, checks whether tracks is having any mishap when they're taking turns. So such kind of AI-assisted technologies has come right now in which, everything is tracked through the simulation over there. So I think that's a great example on Tesla, which you had given, and people who are listening might be also correlating to do these things with on their daily work in their organizations. I think beautiful insights from you, Vikrant, and it was really
Thanks.
listening to these kind of use cases here, which you would be people would be actually referring to. So thank you for your time, and we would be moving to the next segment. And this is a segment in which we have a real entrepreneur called Manish Jain, who is, we do a enterprise reality check with what actually works. And, majorly, so he's been, helping other organization to evolve into the AI assisted environment. Handing over the mic to you, Manish.
Sure. Well, thanks and good afternoon to everyone. We started with good morning, now it's afternoon. But great to be here. It's been quite interesting conversations till now, and I'll just try to add to what has been said by Kamal, Vinay, and Vikrant. So I'm Manish. I've spent about last 2 decades, almost 25 years now, building and leading technology teams across large organizations, startups, including Reliance. I was part of it, part of Geo, Amazon, and other companies. So today, through Onefinity Labs and our applied AI practice, I work as fractional CTO with startups, SMEs, and innovation teams with large enterprises. So I work on the box, and also I help teams bring clarity to technology and AI decisions before they start compounding and before people start looking out for ROI from them. So that's about me. Happy to contribute to the conversation.
Thank you, Manish, for a brief introduction. Welcome on board. And for your segment, I think I'll, just start with my first question on this. Hugh, from an enterprise perspective, there are a lot of things they have been doing. So, for moving into the AI world. So, what is working, what's failing, and what lessons should be learned by the organization over the period of time? Can you just elaborate on those?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that's what's our AI strategy is a question that is centered at the conversation in the boardroom and now it has started trickling down from boardroom to the meeting rooms, and most of the business leaders are seeking out what's our AI strategy, right? And as I say, right, it's a right question to ask, but a wrong way to start. Right. So from an enterprise perspective, um, it's not about what's our AI strategy, right? It's about how we're going to use AI, right, as an enabler to what we already do. And this is stating into what Vikrant was talking about, that AI is not a technology. It is something to be adopted at the leadership level, and now it needs to be seen that, hey, okay, there are these operations, there are these workflows, there are these things that are happening. How can we make it better by using AI, right? uh, Once that mindset starts trickling in, right, you should not. And what fails, right? What fails is if you start thinking, what's the first tool should I use, right? So buy an AI platform. Hey, let's get a Copilot in. Let's get a Chat GPT. Let's enable our people into Cursor. That's not going to solve the problem. That'll just create more friction. That'll just create more noise in the system, right? That's one important thing: the tool first mindset versus if you see AI as an enabler, right, to your operations. And of course, one of the key aspect is the governance aspect of it, right? So um, uh, uh, like what I've seen across some of the use cases, and these use cases vary from, let's say, HR teams using AI for automating some of the operations using AI bots. But what happens is, if the managers or the employees are not aligned, that okay, here is now an AI avatar or an AI trainer who would be talking to you, and these are the things that you should be doing, it just falls flat, right? Similarly, in BFSI segment, again in lending operations or somewhere, there are a lot of opportunities for automating the let's say the call center interactions, right? Where there is a lot of data that has already been captured from past interactions, or there is live data coming in and which can be analyzed in real time, and the executives can be given much more relevant information which is not stale enough, and can have better communication with the customers. But again, the proper governance, if proper training is not given, can lead to very inconsistency in this, and of course, the compliances could also be possible. So the real differentiator is basically the culture that has to change, right? How teams are prepared to work with AI and not around it, right? So just take it as an enabler. Um, when you start small, you're focused on some pilots, right? But the important thing is that what is the success metric of that pilot? Who is one accountable person? What is the human oversight we would give to that pilot so that we get the right data from it, and then we can scale with confidence with that pilot, right? So again, as I say, right, AI, it's like it amplifies the existing systems. If they aren't there, AI is of no use. It will just expose the gaps, and that's it. You won't be able to take any benefit out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, rightly said, Manish. Because majorly it amplifies it, and probably with the pilots and everything, it's basically you how need to develop and program into the organization if the pilots are successful, and how you need to scale those pilots down the line if they're working fine, and probably even with the pilots going good, because it's in a limited capacity, it could not scale up to the organization level. So that has to be taken care of. I think those are great insights from you. I do have one more question to you, Manish. That's the last question for the day, and we would be closing the segments for the day. So, if some organization is adopting an AI from scratch today, what one decision you would take differently based on your experience, while implementing this AI strategy into different organizations?
Yeah. This again, see, from my experience, it matters is who will own the final outcome of this AI adoption, right? And I'm assuming that this is a pilot or a POC before we start scaling this thing. Because if no one is accountable for what changes on the ground, then whether you do AI or whether you do non-AI, it won't impact, right? Nothing will. It will just, you'll start a pilot for 6 months, then you will realize, oh, this is not working out. Nobody is doing a qualitative assessment or a quantitative assessment of what actually changed, and let's just close it down, right? So if I was starting today, I'd first decide which business leader owns the impact of AI in a specific workflow, define the success to be measured, and only then start looking at the tools, the models, the different cloud providers, and so on and so forth. See, the models also are evolving at a very similar pace, right? There is not much of difference between, let's say, if you use a coding assistant today, across Claudic Code versus Cursor versus Anti-Gravity versus another one, it hardly matters, right? And I've seen engineers use different tools, all and with the same similar outcome, right? What matters is who owns that outcome. So when the ownership is clear, AI becomes a lever. When it's not, it'll just become a noise. You will nobody likes noise after a certain amount of time, be it 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe 10 months, and after that, somebody will come and shut down the noise. Yeah.
Definitely, Manish. I think definitely the ownership should be clear in terms of who is holding that. because there has to be somebody who is accountable for deploying the system in place. If you are not taking accountability, definitely we not implement something which is for the better of the organization. I think those are great insights from the various leaders. I think I'll thank you all the four speakers. They had given great insights, and we had closed all the segments which needs to be covered in today's podcast. So we would be moving to the next segment. Before we move to the Q&A session, there is one question which is already posted over there. So in this, I would be asking four questions, and any of the speakers can pick those questions, and we can move forward with that. That's the short answers we can tell. Over. So the very first question to any of the speakers is one skill every professional must build in the AI era.
Yes, but I will answer that question. I think based on my experience in the last 2.5, 3 years of using all the Gen AI tools and being the Gen AI ambassador, the baseline AI skill is required for everybody, knowing about all the tools and what to use. But the primary thing that is going to be a necessity is the prompt engineering part. It has been said a lot, but I don't know if people understand it the way it needs to be understood, because the only way you can communicate with all these AI tools is going to be how good your prompt is. If I want a very good output from the tool, I need to be a very good prompt engineer. I can't have vague one liners asking for things to be done, and that can only lead to hallucinations and incorrect outputs. A really good prompt engineer can get the things done much faster and much more efficiently with good quality than a person who does not know how to use prompt engineering, which means you need to give better context, better role definition, and more input in a sharper way, right? So that's basically your prompt engineering, and when you can do that effectively, I think you're going to do a lot more better than one who does not. Param.
Definitely, I echo with you probably that skill needs to be developed over the period of time being a prompt engineer, and I think that's a better way of going ahead also, that you should build this one skill going forward if you want to survive in the AI era. Moving to the next question is, what is the biggest myth about AI at work? Any of the speakers
Yeah,
can answer that question. Can go
I
ahead.
can take that. Yeah. So, see, the biggest myth I would say uh, is like I've bought this tool. Let's purchase a subscription and give it to our employees or managers, and voila, we are now AI enabled. uh, that's not what's gonna happen, right? It will definitely need, as what Kamal was saying, sorry, Vinay was saying that Kamal was saying that it would need much more than just a tool. It will need usage of tool as well. Even the engineers, right? Even if you give them a AI coding tool, AI coding assistant, their value now is not about what is the syntax of a programming language. Their value needs to start coming out in the systems thinking and how better they are delivering a particular use case, or in a faster manner as well. Usage. So buying a tool does not make an organization an AI enabled. It is the proper usage, the proper training, the proper use cases, and identifying that how do you measure it, and over a period of time mature it, right? So that it gets adopted by people at large is important.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, and I echo with you on this, Manish. And there are a lot of myths which are there into the organization, and they just want to get into that, and they don't want to understand the technology which they are actually following, and how probably it would be helping in the future. There is no ROI dates which are finalized. They're just jumping to the bandwagon over there. So I think I echo with you on this probably. And thank you for the answer on this, Manish. I have the next question. Just give me a second. So the next question is, one thing leaders must stop doing today. Usually leaders are, they need to be front runners for deploying an AI technology. So what
Hmm.
should they stop doing today?
Maybe I can take up this, Param, Vinay this side. So, as I mentioned earlier, even as a leader, we should stop expecting or control everything and expecting to have answers for everything. See, now we started already working with Gen Z employees also. If you continuously do this micromanagement, even you cannot expect the results the way which you want. So just set the clear expectations and get the things done. And you need to be, as a leader, we need to be focused more on the outcomes rather than how they're delivering, because they're quite smart. They're able to deliver than expected time. So we need to understand and start adapting these things as a leader. Otherwise, we are not going to survive. And as a leader, it's a clear cut message that we should stop doing the micromanagement and set the clear expectations, clear goals, clear objectives. Just focus on the outcomes. This is what which I can say.
Really, I think Vinay. So probably it should be outcome based instead of just
Yeah,
deleting those whatever the things they have been doing, the POCs and everything. But if there is
exactly.
outcome, definitely they need to start focusing on those.
Yes, you're
Thank
right.
you for these insights, Vinay. Okay.
Param, we are not able to hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I I think I was just presenting my screen. So that's a great insight from Vinay on that. We should be more focused on the outcomes now, instead of just doing the task or delivery and everything. So, moving to the last question of the day, we are through with the podcast, and this is the last question. First thing which we think on this, what leaders should stop doing today. Now, one question that is the last question of the day is that what leaders must start doing now instead of stopping something. So, I think any of the panel members can take this question. Yeah.
Then, yeah, Param, I'll take on since I'm the one who's left, and it's a very interesting question. This is the era of technology fluency and integration. So I feel that this is, and since we're talking about AI, so one skill which we all must know is the capabilities of AI. So that is AI acumen. That doesn't mean that we need to be coders. We should learn coding, but we must know that if there is some tool which has come, what are its capability, what kind of things it can do, what are the limitations, and what are the strategic applications. At the same time, we must know that what all things it's going to affect in our complete workflow, because number of employees are going to get affected, and AI as it is has created ripples. So at the same time, that is why it's very important to blend the human centric empathy approach. With automation coming, with AI coming, we need to have a system where we upskill our employees. So that is why I say that AI acumen, at the same time human centric approach, is one skill which all leaders must have at this point of time.
And yeah, AI Kubernetes and human centric approach that has to be there. I think that's the best way to put it. And I think with these great words, we are closing today's podcast. But before that, we need to close on the Q&A session. I think we have one question which has been posted. So I'll just go through the question, and any of the panel members can, just do that, respond on that question. Just give me a second. So there's one question from Pranjal, which he has posted is how to keep the corporate secrets secure in the world of AI. Let's show this question also.
Mhm.
So anybody from the panel members can,
Yeah.
respond to that.
Yeah, I can start off with some of that I have in this, Param. So, uh, to me, I think that's a very good question because protecting your intellectual property, the IP, is kind of the biggest a risk that you would see when you're adopting to these AI tools. To me, the responsibility has to be shared between both the AI tool provider as well as the user. Like, for example, if we in Ericsson are going ahead with AWS and the cloud models that they provide, we expect some level of guardrails that comes along with these models. And there's also something that we have to do from our end as well when we are sharing our code base with that. So to start with, as I said, the guardrail should be in place. The framework for guardrail should be in place where you can specify, this is the policy that we have. This is what you're supposed to see. This is what you're supposed to not see, and so on. This is what you should learn. This is the information that you should not learn, and so on. So all that, another layer on top where I can filter out what can be sent and not sent, kind of guardrails is there. That's one thing. The second thing is the ring fencing part, where you let's say having a private cloud where you can host a model is the ideal thing to do, but not all models are designed like that. Some models are particularly tied to the SaaS platform that they come along with. So in that case, how good is the ring fence? We have to be very careful with that. We have to have the contracts and deals in place for that to ensure that there's no security leakage in that case. That's the one part. And the part where we have a responsibility as users of the AI tools, we need to involve a security expert here at an earlier stage. We have to uh, assume that there's a new attack surface, which is your LLM. So earlier it used to be a software and the infrastructure that comes, but now we have another layer of attack surface, which is the LLM, and your security champions and experts should treat it as a vulnerable area and create, the security ring around it. So I think the responsibility is spread among both the AI tool provider and the AI tool user, and it can be done. Param.
I think that's a great answer. I think it has to be spread upon the user as well as the provider also on that. Any second thought to this question? This is more on the technical side. I'm
Yeah,
not
so
sure.
Param, one more thing is that, obviously the organization will have its own governance framework, and as it is when the AI is coming, you have their own, data governance thing, which is going to get embedded. But the most important thing is that this is something that the organization is doing. There is something which the country is doing, which the world is doing. So like, for example, EU is having their own AI Act, which I covered last time also. So at the same time, I think India, I think, has released its AI policy, so that, so there is a bigger umbrella which is there, under which once we read all those regulations and policies, the particular organization has to make its own guardrails, its own policies, its own governance mechanism. So I think this is how these both things will work in cognizance.
Okay, I think
Yeah, I'll
that.
just I'll just add to it. So if you're talking about corporate secrets, right, and IP, these are very relevant to certain industries. And the best possible ways that I've seen is that the private cloud deployments of the, if you're using foundational LLMs, and some of the cloud providers do provide that for large enterprises, which makes the whole it's costly. It has its own process involved with it, but that is the best possible way. Otherwise, if you are using any other third-party provider, any subscription, things will definitely go out of your network, right? Or you have to filter it out. Have a maybe a some kind of a database where things are referred to and only summarized information is sent out. That could be another way of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think Manish, I think I've got all the three perspectives from you. How the
Mm.
strategically we need to handle it. I think how the technically we need to do it, and then probably anyways the guardrails has to be there anyhow. I
Yeah.
think I hope the listener has already got the answer which he is envisaging right now. So I think we are through with the podcast. I'm just closing the podcast and we'll summarize whatever we have discussed during the podcast. So in the today conversation, we have made clear one thing that A is not just a technology shift; it's a mindset shift, which we has also discussed during one of the segments also. And I think the future will belong to those who combine human judgment, creative thinking, and AI intelligence. Whether you are a leader, practitioner, or a designer, the question is no longer will AI impact my work, but how intentionally am I shaping that impact? Thank you to our speakers, to everyone who joined us. Stay curious, stay human, and we'll see you in the next episode of AI at Work. Thank you.
Thank you, Param. Thank you,
Thank
all
you.
the audience,
Thank
for
you all.
watching. Have a nice weekend.